Welcome to the Social Media Church Podcast. I'm Nils Smith, joined by the great DK Hammonds. DK, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, brother. Always a pleasure to be podcasting with my brother and friend. It is hot as hello in Texas. Please understand we're in the dog days of summer here. So would y'all continue to pray and send some New York wind this way? God bless you. Is our prayer.
I'll tell you, walking to my office today, I remember thinking, man, it's so hot here. And because and it really is the wind, is an issue. We don't have a breeze right now or today. But I looked at my phone, it was like 82 degrees. And so it's not that hot. And I grew up in Texas. My kids are in San Antonio right now. And my youngest daughter texted me last night, like they were out to go watch fireworks. She's like, Dad, I'm nervous. I'm going to pass out because I'm so hot. And I'm like, you're going to be okay. Drink some water.
Yes.
And I mean, I grew up with a car with no AC in Texas.
Yes.
And I was just fine, but
just fine.
It is. But every time I go to Texas, I was in Houston last week, I guess.
Yeah.
And I remember just thinking, I can drink this air. It is so humid.
Hey, amen.
And it was just like, I get the snowbird life or whatever they call it, where people live, like in different places where that Texas heat in the summer is real.
It's real. It's real.
I remember too, when I was working at Community Bible Church in San Antonio, our architects from California came and they were like, you could do all this outdoor setup here. And we were like, look, I get in California, you can do a bunch of outdoor setup. Nobody is hanging out outdoors. They're only outdoors from their car to the building 9 months of the year.
That's it.
And so that Texas is not built for the outdoors, especially in the summertime months. But DK, you've got some cool things you're playing with these days. And we're going to talk about software on this episode. We're going to talk about software that's going to help you with your communications, with your church management system, with your, social media, all of that. But you're playing with some hardware, some cool hardware with the new drone. Can you talk a little bit about your venture into drone life?
Oh man, make sure y'all put in the comments if you have a drone, what kind of drone you have. I would love to kind of follow you. But recently, I have been. My wife has a garden. I've said this before on our channel. And one of the things that I wanted to do is get some good drone shots of her garden. And so I kind of, played around, looked around, and finally found one at a pawn shop. Listen, I'm a pawn shop guy.
I love it.
I have the money to go other places. That's fine, but I'll go to a pawn shop in a heartbeat.
Good on you.
So I went to the pawn shop, saw one brand new in a box. Holy Stone was the name of this particular one. I think it's German made. And I will get to why I said that. Never mind. but it's made from Germany, Holy Stone. And I played with that for about a week, and I broke it. I broke one of the wings, the back wings, trying to land it because the battery got low. So one of the things you have to learn with drone flying is you got to learn how much battery you have before you have to land that puppy. And usually it's like 26 to 30 minutes worth of time. And so I got that one, and I'm probably going to replace it. So I have two drones, and then I went and bought. I went to Costco. Salute Costco. If y'all want to give a sponsorship to this podcast channel, we would love that. But I went to Costco and bought a package deal for a drone, and I got the DJI Mini 3. Haven't flown it yet because I wanted to do some hard research. And what I found out very clearly is that they are not playing with us in these drones. So I had to take 2 tests. Just to get my drone activated to fly, and pay $5 for a license to fly. So I'll be a certified drone pilot. Yeah,
cool. Yeah, you're a pilot, man.
I'm a pilot now. I'm gonna add that to my bio and see if I can. I'm a drone pilot. So did that, and I just been studying, this because I see a lot of drone shots that we can use in churches, and I think what really got my juices going. I think it's Steve Furtick. He put a spider camera in the ceiling of the church, and it's like the same cameras they use in the NFL. Yeah. And so the drone piece is just flying around and getting these shots the Boone camera couldn't get.
Yeah,
so
Transformation Church put one of those in.
Yeah,
too.
man. So that camera is super sick. And so I've been just playing with that because it gives me something to do outside. I'm not on a computer. I'm not doing a podcast. It's something very outside of my normal.
I love it.
And I've been enjoying it thus far to just kind of put that drone up. And in DJI's defense, man, it has a button where it'll put it in the air for you and hover. And it has a button that will just automatically land it for you because it has sensors on the bottom of it.
Nice.
So it is super legit. And I think outside of that, the most important thing is when you're doing a drone, these people are going to tell you, hey, our cameras are 4K. I found out very clearly that is a bald-faced lie. Holy Stone's camera is as grainy and pixelated as they come. But when I turned on that DJI, I said, it looks like the camera in my office that I film on.
Wow.
So I knew immediately I would never buy another type of drone somewhere else.
Yep.
Because this one has a gimbal, one, and then two, it has the 4K quality that I'm looking for in order to do the work that I want to do.
Nice.
So that's my new field to play with. And that's what I'm at with it, bro.
I have loved drones since they first kind of came onto the market.
Yeah.
And but I've never, I mean, my wife got me one probably like 9 years ago.
Yeah.
And then I lost it. Like we were actually in Dallas and I flew it like in this field and then it like the wind got it and it flew out into a cow pasture and is gone. And but it was fun, like learning. I learned how to flip it. I learned how to like I'd gotten pretty good at it, but I had to learn too of like this was a probably a $200 drone. The wind can just take it so quickly. And then I've gotten several like little pocket drones that I fly in the house. So in New York they're illegal, so you can't fly drones in the city.
Obviously
there's only certain spots and you got to get certain like licenses for a day. And but I couldn't just go out, because I would love some cool drone shots in the city, and they, there was kind of a free for all like 10 years ago, and I think for safety reasons in the city, I'm glad about it. But I would love to play with drones more. I think they're just such a cool new thing, and you see so many like shows and movies and stuff that capture such cool shots with the drones. But with, the drone side, this is where you and I were just having a conversation prior to this podcast. You've gotten into some other software that you're playing with as well. And so that's where it's like, let's talk about software today. Tell us about the other software beyond that hardware that you've got into that you're playing with right now.
Well, I got a list of softwares. If y'all don't know, I'm a tech dude, early adopter. I'm going to be looking at your stuff, testing to see if I can break it. A couple of applications that instantly stand out. Buzzsprout changed its platform, which I'm a user of Buzzsprout. Please go check out my links for that. I definitely would appreciate that going forward. Buzzsprout changed how they do their UI UX basically. Some of the other stuff still looks the same, but the UI UX is totally different and refreshed. So that's
Buzzsprout is for podcast hosting, correct?
That is correct. Podcast hosting, distribution of podcasting. Buzzsprout definitely did some updating that I'm enjoying. And I'm gonna get to where we're going.
That's good.
Definitely. So Buzzsprout is one. I think the other one, for obvious reasons, is something that we're on right now. And if you guys are listening, we would definitely love to partner with you. And that is Riverside. I believe Riverside is just completed an update here soon, or recently, or will be. And so a lot of things have moved around on Riverside. Please, if you're using Riverside, it could also be a distribution for you. Because I've seen that they add the RTMP feed where they're allowing people to stream directly from Riverside. And Riverside, I'm so proud of you because I've seen some people streaming, I believe, on Discord live from Riverside. So I've already seen you guys really make that impact. So I'm definitely appreciative. And let me say this about Riverside. If you're looking for a podcast platform that other people can partner with you on, that can distribute, that can edit very fast for you, Riverside is probably one of the easier platforms to get 100%. Information from a very quick rate to somewhere else. It's almost as good as having a Google Drive in real time on Riverside.
For sure.
So
and a lot of people are using Zoom to record their podcast, and it's like, cool, but Riverside takes it to another level. Pay the $15 a month or whatever Riverside costs.
Yes.
And you're going to get higher quality video, higher quality audio, a lot of features. You can live stream out of it. You can do lower thirds in the middle of it. You can add in sound effects. It is built for this, where Zoom is built for calls that you can record if you want to. But Riverside is where it's at when it comes to, podcasting in particular. But you can do it for webinaring, for live streams. There's a lot of things you can do with Riverside beyond just podcasting.
Yeah, and one of the most undervalued features I feel like that's on Riverside is the producer model, where a person can come in and not necessarily be on your screen and help produce your actual podcast. So salute to Riverside. And definitely y'all need to be inboxing us, because we use y'all stuff at a high level. We would love to partner. I'm just throwing it out there for free, just in case somebody from Riverside. Listen, the next application that I believe has done some updating or some merging, if you will.
Yep.
Let me get this thing to stop beeping in my ear. I don't know if you can hear that, but submerging, if you will. And that is Canva and Affinity.
Yeah.
So Canva recently purchased Affinity recently. Now, some people would say that means absolutely nothing to me, but I know a lot of churches use Canva in terms of doing their various artistic work within the church at a very fast pace and rate. And then the drawback to doing Canva is it sometimes does not render in the quality in which you want it to render in.
Yeah. So
you have to go to something like Photoshop. This is not an ad for y'all, because y'all playing and we see what y'all doing in Photoshop. Salute. But photos, you'd have to go to Photoshop to get that added quality, or you'd have to go to Affinity. So recently I bought Affinity. They do have a special right now. It's 50% off. You may want to go look it up if they still have it. And I purchased the entire suite, the publisher, the design, as well as the photo. And the beauty of purchasing that suite, hear me well, it's a one-time cost. It is not a monthly cost. It is a one-time cost. And equally, you don't have to pay one time for just your computer. It also works on your iPad as well. So you can get both. You can get a full production studio for $80. And if you didn't want to use that one, you can always go to what one of my favorites is, DaVinci. DaVinci kind of next levels it, but I'll talk about DaVinci later.
Yep.
But to stay focused here, now you have Canva and Affinity, and they have partnered together, and they're going to pretty much, I'm almost certain, they're going to bring that production suite that Affinity has that looks similar to PSD and Adobe.
Yep.
And put that into Canva. They're going to still have the regular one. If you want to still use that one, that's super easy. It's going to now have something for the designers to really
it's almost be like Canva Pro.
That is correct. And so that gives them another tier to kind of enter into, to have, and Canva can kind of build that in. But here's the other thing I love about it is that Canva has a true sense of connection to its community, and in particular to the nonprofits. And so if you are a nonprofit and you would like to have Canva gives that to you for free. All you'd have to do is go to their nonprofit link, and they'll put it in the chat below. Go to their nonprofit link, go ahead, click on that, submit your paperwork that has 501c3 or your tax ID, and you would get a pro license directly from Canva. And I believe with 10 seats or more, maybe more, 10 plus seats for Canva. And so bringing these two worlds together, where now I can absolutely produce at this high level and rendering, and then I can also do at the low level and rendering, becomes a wave in the distribution of flyer creation and Instagram and production and things of that nature. So I'm not saying go buy Affinity. I am saying if you have the means to play with it beforehand, this is what Canva potentially could look like. And we want to already get a hand of it early so that we can be early adopters and already be rendering what we need to render. So that's the software in which I've seen make some massive updates here recently. And I'm going to throw one more software.
Okay, let's hear it.
Threads. I know you wouldn't expect
Threads.
I'm going to throw Threads in there. Threads have been making massive updates, and I've been kind of quiet about it. I've been playing with Threads, and I've been watching some of these conversations and watching things move. So now they're able to attach algorithm to, let's say, a conversation. And now you can almost search and say, hey, I want to find all the podcasters. And then now it'll send all the podcasters to you potentially. And now you have a community that you can connect with. So Threads has been listening while they're building publicly, which I appreciate. But it's been very interesting to see them make adjustments. Like you can even go in there and change the way your app looks. You can design the app now. You have this new algorithm that's kind of kicking content out early for those who are using it at a high rate. These things are happening on Threads. And so people think Threads is deceased. I beg to differ. The users have found a way to make Threads work, and they are using it at a high clip. Some people are even using it to build their YouTube channels.
Okay. That's good. That's good insights.
Yeah, man.
For this podcast, especially because there's a lot of questions, and I'll be honest, DK, I log into Threads maybe once a month, and that's when Instagram feeds me like this. Maybe you should pay attention to this, and they're trying to push me into Threads. And then I'll poke around for about 5 minutes, and then come back again in a month. And so I have not been paying that much attention to Threads, and some of that is we're still like repurposing content to Threads for our clients and for different platforms. And
no traction.
I'm guessing I probably have some posts going out on Threads. We've gotten very little traction in any of that content yet, but some of that might be because we're not natively paying attention to it. And I did notice Zuck posted the other day that they hit a new milestone from an engagement perspective, which was one of the things that led me to pay attention to it again. And then I put out a poll, I think on Instagram, and asked who's on Threads, and it was like about 20% of people said they engaged there a little bit. And so, I think time will tell. I think it's, my opinion still is that Meta should focus on a YouTube competitor more than they should focus on a Twitter or X competitor. But at the end of the day, that's that they see this opportunity, and it's probably a much easier build with Threads. But I'm not seeing it, and I haven't seen the breakthrough, but I'm looking for in some ways, I'm looking for, just like you had with Vine or other platforms, like who are going to be the breakout creators that demonstrate here's how this platform is really utilized to its greatest effectiveness, or like you did with what was it called? Like the audio platform, Clubhouse. And so then there became this kind of use case. Here's how you really use this and maximize this platform. And so Threads is still a TBD for me, but at the end of the day, they obviously have the users. They've got Meta fully behind it, and it doesn't look like Meta is giving up on it. But I also just I'm still on a wait and see with it. DK, I'll share some of the software, and I've been putting out
on it, brother.
A lot of YouTube demo videos, and so I just had this idea, a while back, and I buy a lot of software off of AppSumo that I'm just curious about. And what I've kind of done with my YouTube channel is I'm going to test out a new piece of software for 1 hour, and then I'm going to just do an honest review on it. And if I can't figure out what this does and how I can use it effectively within an hour and demonstrate how it's used, then I don't believe other people that follow me should, they're going to waste a lot of time trying to figure this out. And so I'd rather save them time and not figure it out, or show them where the value is and go use it. And so a few of the software tools that I have reviewed recently, one is Mr. Beast just launched his new software called ViewStats. And he basically said, this is a tool we built internally for thumbnail comparison, for basically learning on pulling in a lot of YouTube data and then being able to filter, review, and learn. And I think this is from the biggest YouTuber ever. That is, here's scientifically how they're building their channel And I think there's so much for people to learn. Now it is like $50 a month, and so for the value of what it does, it's a significant expense compared to what other.
Yep.
It's more of an educational platform than it is. It's not making thumbnails for you. It's not, AI generating, topic ideas. So it's not. I think a lot of people wanted to compare it to vidIQ, which is really kind of like an intelligence platform that then is giving you recommendations, things like this. You've got to infer those recommendations. Now, I'll be curious if they build that kind of thing in the future. But really, it is an interesting learning tool, and it's given me, as somebody who studied Mr. Beast through the years, insights into how he thinks about his videos. And thumbnails and honestly, so much of it is thumbnail related. And I think people just still have not caught on, or churches in particular, how important your thumbnail is to getting more views on your videos. And it is such a big factor on there. One of the other features that's also interesting is it will pull out, I forget what they call it on the platform, but basically if you pull up a channel, it will pull out a video that went viral like 10x beyond any of their other videos. And what it's trying to teach you is like, what was it about this video that made this pop that I can learn from for my channel to maybe get the same kind of virality. And it's so insightful. It's interesting, even like if you pull my channel on this, my top video by far continues to be how my 9-year-old runs her YouTube channel or something like this. This is a video I made 5 years ago with my daughter when she made a little YouTube channel, and how she and we walked through how does she record it with a phone, how does she edit it in her editing software, how does she upload, so, and it was really kind of a pitch of like, if my 9-year-old could do a YouTube channel, you can. But what it's done is it's actually went viral with like 9-year-olds who want to create a YouTube channel and work around YouTube's system. But it's always interesting to see. But I think the learning is for somebody that's in that space, like it's actually not attracting the viewers that I'm looking to engage. And so it's attracting the wrong audience for me. But for somebody else that's trying to create something like that, they can learn from that video. And make it so outliers is what he calls it in that software. So it's a really interesting tool, and we continue to see that when it comes to social media for churches in 2024, YouTube is the platform. It is the most significant opportunity that we have right now, and I perceive that we'll have into the foreseeable future in the social media landscape. The other tool that I highlighted is Metricool. Metricool is the social media management software that we use at Amplify Social Media. It's essentially, I think most people see it as a Sprout Social competitor. Sprout Social is the gold standard in social media management software. It's fantastic, but it's also really expensive. And Metricool is like a fourth of the cost. And all the features that we really liked from Sprout Social are in Metricool, and it works really well. We've messed with some other alternatives, and they just were buggy. They had issues. The user interface isn't as nice in Metricool as Sprout Social. That data reports, the data is all there, but the data reports just aren't as good or pretty. They're not something I'm going to share with the client, but they. At the end of the day, for the cost effectiveness, I'm a big fan of Metricool. And then I did one on Opus Clips versus a platform called Minvo, which was an AppSumo deal with Minvo, and comparing the two. And I think at the end of the day, they're pretty comparable, but Opus Clips is still leading the way when it comes to taking your long form content like we do here on the podcast and clipping it into short form content. And so it is such a fantastic tool. It was interesting. I've talked to a lot of churches that are really starting to lean into Opus for their sermon clips. We still, with our clients, we still manually do it. We'll run it through Opus or Minvo, or we've got some other similar tools. But we've still found it to be not ideal. but we have the time and capacity to manually do it.
Yeah.
If you don't, and you're kind of, volunteer run or, short staffed, Opus Clips is going to do a great job for you and get you, they're going to caption it. It's, really is a fantastic tool. So I'm a big fan of Opus Clips.
Can I throw something in there for you?
Yeah, please.
I got a couple of them. So to your Opus Clips, I just did a review of Opus Clips. I'm supposed to have a meeting with them soon to talk about the application itself. Definitely an affiliate of mine, so salute to Opus Clips. And I definitely love Opus Clips, and I love what they do. I don't love that the text is not customizable for everyone. So basically, you'll see a whole bunch of text that looks the exact same for Opus Clips.
Agreed.
But there is one app that we have not mentioned that my team has started to use, and I've used, and that's Captions. Captions is another app, and what it does is it zooms in where Opus cannot zoom in. Caption can do that. Caption can provide caption through its AI based on your text automatically, and the edit on it is super clean. So Caption is definitely another one to use. Here's another thing I think people haven't figured out yet, and I'm gonna throw this on here. CapCut now has the ability to take long form content and cut it down. I didn't know that. I just did like 3 or 4 videos for my wife here recently, and my CapCut just came up automatically, which is crazy. I just did like 3 or 4 videos.
They're listening to us.
Yeah, they listen to us. I just did like 3 or 4 videos on CapCut for my wife and cut some videos for her gardening channel. And CapCut allowed me to cut them. Now, the cut wasn't pristine like Opus or super clean like Caption, but it was good nonetheless. If, to your point, if you are trying to tell a story with your short form content, hear me and hear me well. You're going to need 2 things. You're going to need an editor who understands how to cut clips. You're going to need some good B-roll footage to understand that. And so if you don't have those 2 things, you're just going to be able to just tell the story with your sermon and that's it, or cut the story down with something that you're doing. But if you're trying to tell a story or do something different, you're going to definitely need to consider what it is that you're on. Another one, and I'm done with my updates. We have not Sermon Shots definitely did an update here recently. Their update is clean. There's a whole video on Sermon Shots. I will not go into that with me and the co-founder. Go check out Corey. Check that video out. But Pulpit AI did a recent massive update that is super clean. You want to go check that out. What Pulpit AI is almost a direct competitor with Sermon Shots. It does now give you the ability to cut reels in Pulpit AI, and it does it based on subject matter that allows you to cut the reels in Pulpit AI. So these tools are available for that small church, that mid-level church that has a volunteer issue to use. But if your church is trying to stand out, I do suggest that you need to go find somebody like myself or Amplify to take care of that need for you.
It's 100%. Like I think it's there are a lot of great tools that are coming along, and I want to talk church management systems in a minute, DK. So I want you to think about that. But the other tool that I want to throw out there, and I did a video on this that wasn't necessarily church focused, but it's how to create your own GPT. And so GPT-4, I still believe it's probably the tool that I'm using the most on an everyday. It's not probably, it is the tool that I'm using more than anything else. And I continue to test different AI platforms with Claude and with, some different things out there. GPT-4 is the best. GPT-O is fantastic as a free version. And I'm tinkering with that. And honestly, I because I've got some custom GPTs, I'm keeping GPT-4. But if I didn't, and I was just using it kind of here and there, a GPT-O would be, a huge jump from GPT-3. So all this, ChatGPT is continuing to lead the way in AI. And if you don't have at least GPT-O, like I just keep it open on my desktop all the time. And you need to be using that. every day, and it's going. The more you use it, the more you'll begin to see how much time it can save you and help you in so many different ways. And we'll do other podcasts about ChatGPT and that in the future, and it is such a big piece. But DK, let's talk about church management systems, because this is a question and a pain point that a lot of people have, and I will say, as we used to say at my old church that F1 was the real F word in the church, but there was nowhere to go. There's nowhere to leave. Yep. And churches didn't have good church management software options. Where now I believe churches actually have several good church management software options.
Yes.
What are you seeing in that church management CHMS space?
All right, the CHMS space, this is one I'm pretty passionate about, so I could speak probably for an hour, but I won't.
Yep.
So I'm just going to throw them out there, and I'm going to categorize them, so be patient with me. If you are let's start at low level. So low level, I see people, they're still using Shelby 1 and Ecclesia, which I think is okay, but I don't think it's futuristic, and they have kind of been a dinosaur in the business, and it's just a matter of time before the tech eats them alive. No disrespect. It's just what I'm seeing in the tech space.
And I think you got to be ready, because this is this is your owned data and system, and you need to have a good, stable platform. And you need to, if they're going to crumble, you need to have bounced before that happens. And so that's a good flag.
So Neil, let me back up before I go into that. Let me explain what we're talking about. CHMS. This is your church management system. This system allows you to house all of your data into one place, able to communicate to people, able to keep up with information in terms of deceased, communion, birthdays, etc. This houses everything. This is the Microsoft Access. This is the Excel spreadsheet that always is there and able to use at a moment's notice. So back to what I was saying.
And this is like businesses use Salesforce or HubSpot.
That's right.
Or Go High Level. Or, there's lots of these in the, what do they call it in the business space? They call them your
SaaS. The SaaS.
Your database essentially. So this is your church database system that allows you to keep all of your members' data in there, or visitors or whoever, and be able to communicate to them, follow up with them, or tag them, and different things to make sure you can serve them effectively.
Absolutely.
Just like a business would serve a customer in that way.
Absolutely. So it's amazing to see how they're now making this approach to take a cloud-based platform. Because Shelby, many years ago, used to be a CD platform. It wasn't a cloud-based. So now I think we moved beyond Shelby, and I get into the ones I hear the most. The one that I hear the most, Subsplash, is what a lot of people are using because it's an all-inclusive content. And you're going to hear me say that when it comes to these CHMS systems, the all-inclusive piece. Subsplash is a pretty good platform. Then you have a Touchpoint. That's another good platform to use. You also have RAM. But RAM is an ACS program, which is a ministry platform. Platform RAM is not as customizable. It is pretty self-explanatory. But if you're looking for something customizable, then we get into the Planning Center, which is a soft customizable, but it can be customized, and the UI UX is spectacular with Planning Center. And so that's just what I've seen it. And most of the times, especially, let me keep going, because I can keep going to center. So Planning Center, and then you move from Planning Center back to Ministry Platform. Ministry Platform is not as good on the eyeball test. To be
that's
honest,
an understatement.
And I love those people over there. Trust me, Trisha, all of them, those are my friends. But when it comes to the way that it produces, at a high volume and high capacity, it is probably one of the top 2 platforms 100%. To use. Now, if you're looking for the top 1, I'm going to go right to it. You're going to use Rock CMS. Rock is by far, with its open platform. Now, you're going to have to get a dev to work with Rock. You're not going to be able to show up like Planning Center, plug and play like RAM. None of those things are applying. We're going to build these things from the studs all the way up to its very roof capacity. So Rock is definitely that. Most churches use Rock because it's an easy integrator, even though it's an open source type of system. And so they get into that. But if I'm looking for mid-level churches, Mid-level churches are using what I mentioned before. That is Realm. That is Planning Center. Those two particular and Subsplash. Those three are the top three that they use because of functionality, connectivity in terms of the open API that it can connect to other platforms and keep us kind of rooted and grounded in that. And so that would be my review of it. And if you want to know more about this, you go definitely have to inbox me and I will tell you which one your church, or inbox Amplify. We can tell you which application your church needs to use as it relates to the CHMS.
Well, and I would point you back to, if you reach out to me, I'm going to point you back to DK because he knows this way better than I do. I would say there's two that I would add to the list, and that I think are pretty similar in Tidely and PushPay.
Okay.
In that Tidely bought a church management system. I don't remember what it's called. Integrated it into their platform, and PushPay bought Church Community Builder, integrated it into their platform. And you know, I have not heard a whole lot good or bad with that, but I think they both kind of fit into that mid level where it's kind of turnkey. But what these platforms, I would put Subsplash in a similar category. Is Subsplash is known for their mobile apps, and they've integrated a church management system. PushPay and Tidely are known for their giving system, and then they integrated a church management system. And I would say, you know, my experience with the churches I work with, it's really the two that I hear about the most and you know have interfaced with the most is Planning Center and Rock. And I feel like Planning Center can grow with you. You know, basically if you're a 50 to 100 person church, you can work with Planning Center and afford it the way their pricing structure is set up. And if you're even a 5,000 member church, that's at Hillsong. That's what we use is Planning Center. And it just has a great user interface for your church members, for your staff. I've also seen even their founders talk about, we're never going to sell this, and that's one of the things we've seen is a lot of these church management systems get acquired by ministry brands, if we're allowed to say that out loud.
That's correct.
And then haven't necessarily progressed a whole lot in their infrastructure. And then Rock, it's like when you get over 5,000, it's kind of Rock or ministry platform. Rock seems to be the more popular of the two. A lot of people didn't like their .NET infrastructure, to get into the weeds a little bit, but I've journeyed with a lot of churches and seeing a lot of churches do a lot of cool things with Rock. And so I'm seeing, and I would say a few churches are trying to use Salesforce as their church management system. I definitely don't recommend that. It's not built for that. And I feel like you're just, almost trying to be stubborn and spend even more money than you would spend on Rock. And so if you want a fully customized solution, I would talk to Ministry Platform or Rock, or talk to people that know those. Talk to DK at the end of the day, no matter what you're at with your, tech stack. But your church management system is really important. So
it is.
I feel like a lot of the other things we've talked about are tools you use. Your church management system is your foundational technology, based technology. And then probably the other last side of the software stack, DK, is what is your website built on? And it's generally WordPress or Squarespace. But then I'm hearing a lot more people going to Webflow. And so, DK, any thoughts or preferences? Some on Wix as well, but when it comes to church websites.
Yeah, and let me add to the previous conversation. We definitely want to take out Brady Shear. He has Nucleus for an application, and he does all of those things too. So salute to Brady on that. Definitely a platform that is contending and giving you a whole lot for your money, in my experience. But to answer the question, when it comes to websites, WordPress is by and large at the top of the heap when it comes to web development. And I've seen churches use Squarespace, but I'm gonna tell you, Squarespace is extremely limited. And let me tell you where it's limited at, because I used to work in Squarespace. Where it's limited at is how it's constructed. Most Squarespace pages look the exact identical. It is a plug and play type of thing. It is, we're gonna put squares here, and that's pretty much what it means. Because Squarespace, in my opinion, period, it is a platform to do online sales. It is not a platform for your web development. And so that's what people, it looks good aesthetically. It is clean. It is modern. It is all of those things. That's if you have a dope online store, you would use Squarespace to complement that online store. But if you're trying to have a website, Webflow is nice. No, not WordPress, top of the heap. I think it's another one called Standout that's actually building these sites within a matter of minutes. And I was watching one girl YouTube page, and I'm not going to plug her name because I think it's funny because I sent it to my team. She's doing websites in 7 days and charging $5,200 to do websites in 7 days. That's because she has this kind of, web development and web building. So that's what I would use. Now, let's talk about that tech stack and why this is important, because we said all of those things backwards. Now here it is forward. When I have my website, my tech stack supports the website. So my people can log in with the CHMS system, and my people can actually connect with the Twitters and all the other applications that we want to connect with to be a part of our brand structure all the time. So the website lays right at the top of that layer, and then we have all of this supporting structure. Let's say somebody wants to get saved. Well, they're going to go to your website first, and it's going to hit your CHMS system, and then we're able to take them through a workflow. So your tech stack and your website are two of the most vital things you need in your church. I don't care what nobody tell you. It is the most important thing.
Yeah, it's good. It's this is a good conversation, no and honestly, things are always changing. And the reality is your tools in your tool belt. Hopefully, you're constantly looking at how do we improve and make sure that we're using the most efficient and effective tools possible. And your church management system is one of those things where you don't want to change that often. So you want to, that's more of a longer term commitment. But you know what, if you need to change, be thoughtful and make the change. Don't hold on, because I say a lot of churches hold on too long to a dying platform. And you got to do the hard work of making the change. And this is where you got to make a really, where you can tinker with things, like an Opus clip or things like that for social media management. But with your own data and even your website, you don't want to change that often. So I would almost say your website you want to review on maybe an annual basis, and your church management system every couple of years. And just make sure you're on the best platform for you for the trajectory into the future. And you can practically you can change your website a lot easier than you can your church management system, but you can mess up SEO and some different things. So we want to help guide you along the way.
Absolutely.
And social media fits into all of this as a front door into these other things. And so I hope that you guys got a lot of value out of this conversation. And know that our DMs are open, but most specifically DK's DMs are open in this conversation. And so DK, we appreciate you sharing your expertise and that comes from just decades of experience in this space to really point our listeners in the right direction. So go to socialmedia.church. You'll see the show notes there, and that we'll have a link to DK's DMs right there. So if you have any questions, we'll have links to all these software tools that we talked about as well. If you want to go check out those things, and we hope this conversation was helpful to you, and we want to continue the conversation online. So hit us up on social media, and let's continue to get better together. Thanks everyone for listening, and we'll talk to you again on the next episode.